Hello everybody, and welcome to our first handwriting video. Very exciting.
Very important.
Very
as
important.
Well. Yes.
Yeah, and especially this year, because here's the thing, guys. What we want to get to the stage where, what we want to do ultimately is get you doing joined up handwriting, because that's something that makes writing much, much quicker. But before we get there, the thing about joined up handwriting is that it's very easy if you're just really good at forming your letters the right way, the right size, but it's very difficult if you get into bad habits with your letter formation, okay? So that's why it's so important that before we get to joined up handwriting, we look back and practice a bit more doing our letters, our lowercase letters, the right size, starting from the right place, and so on, okay? And to help us with that, you'll see I've got a couple of different sets of lines here, okay? We've got our normal lines here, but then up at the top, we've got these three lines, which we call sky, grass, and soil. Mr. Fenn, why do you think the lines have been separated in that way? What do you think that could mean?
Well, I think it is because some letters sit on the grass and they go down into the soil.
Yep.
Some letters will sit on the grass but go all the way up into the top of the sky.
Yep.
And some of them basically just go halfway up the line where up to the grass is and don't even touch the sky.
Yep, Mr. Fenn's right. Okay, so we've got some letters that go to the skies, some that go into the soil, and then a lot of letters just sit in the grass. Okay, now what we're going to be looking at today are a kind of family of letters where the way in which we form them is quite similar. Okay, we call these letters the curly caterpillar letters. Okay, and it makes sense if I start with the first one, which is C. Okay, because it's this motion that you'll be doing a lot of today. So if we do the letter C, first of all, Mr. Fenn, C, is it a grass, sky, or soil letter?
Well, if it's lowercase, if it's a small letter, it's just grass.
Absolutely, it's just in the grass. So I'm going to do the letter C. We start from the top of the grass and we just curl around the caterpillar. Curl around the caterpillar, like that, okay? Now, if I'm doing it on normal lines where you don't have it like that, think about it like this, right? The grass is about halfway, okay? So up here is the sky, here's a cloud, down here is the grass, and then about halfway underneath is the soil, okay? So if I'm doing C, it's not going to take up the whole line, it's going to be about half of it. So curl around the caterpillar, curl around the caterpillar, curl around the caterpillar, just like that, okay? So roughly about half the line, trying to get it sat neatly on the line. I didn't do such a good job on that first one, but that's the way we do it, and it goes that way round, okay? So if you want to, now be a good time to pause the video and have a practice at doing the letter C. So pause now. Okay, right, so hopefully you practice the letter C. Next up, we're going to do the letter A, okay? Now, the letter A, Mr. Fenn, are we looking at a grass letter, a sky letter, or a soil letter?
It is just grass.
Absolutely right. So just like C. And also just like C, when we're doing the letter A, we curl around the same way, okay? So when you start doing a letter A, it's just like a C, right? You curl around like that, but then you go up to the top, down to the bottom, okay? In phonics, we learnt it like this, around the apple, down to the leaf, like that, okay? So that is the letter A.
And it's when you practice this, it's really important you do it the same way as Mr. Lake, because then when we do joined up handwriting later on, it's going to be so easy to do joined up handwriting if you do it just like Mr. Lake.
Yep. So once again on a normal line like the lines you have, it's not going to take up the whole line, about half of it, and it should be sat nicely on the line. Letter A, curl around that way, round the apple, down the leaf. Round the apple, down the leaf. Have a go at that letter, please, and press pause now to practice that. Okay, next up we are going to do the letter O. Which, Mr. Fenn, which kind of letter are we looking at here?
Again, it's a grass letter, yeah.
Absolutely right. And again, the way we curl around when we do the letter O is the same as C, it's the same as A. Okay, you're going that way round. All right, so for letter O, you just go all around the orange. You basically just make a circle, don't you? You curl around and then back up to the top. All around the orange. Okay, and again, for joining purposes, it's important that you do it that way. So just like C, just like A, on the line, taking up about half of the line, you go all around the orange. All around the orange. Press pause and have a go at practicing that letter, please. Okay, next up we are going to do the letter E this time, which is not gonna be quite the same curling motion, all right, but a similar direction that we do it in. So the letter E, Mr. Fenn. What are we looking at here? Sky, grass, or soil?
Grass.
Grass, absolutely right. So letter E, you actually say you don't start at the top of the grass like we were doing before. You actually start about sort of midway in the grass. So lift off the top, scoop out the egg like that. Okay. And again, it's that first bit that's a bit different when you're going across, but then you just do a little curl like we did for the letter C or the letter O, okay?
And
so it's still that same motion.
Watch really carefully when Mr. Lake does this again, because lots of you I don't know about your class, I see children starting at the bottom and kind of going up. So
it's a classic error. So some people do their E's like this, okay, which might look like a letter E, but again, when we go into joining the letter E, a little sneak preview here, all right, we do it like that. Okay, that's how you join E's. And it's impossible to do that if you've not started from the right point. You then have to go all the way around again, okay? So, I'll show you again. Starting like this, lift off the top, scoop out the egg. So you finish at the bottom, okay? Hit pause now and have a practice on that letter, please.
I've rubbed those out.
Got extra time to pause for this one as Mr. Fenn just rubbed some stuff out. Okay, let's do another letter, and this letter is the letter S. Okay, so Mr. Fenn, sky, grass, or soil?
Well, what do you think at home? Okay, hopefully you said grass and only grass.
Yep, absolutely. So grass. So just like with C, A, and O, we start at the top of the grass and go down to the bottom. Okay, and it goes that way. Okay, so you're still curling that same way. Okay, if you do it the other way, you get an S that looks a bit like the number 2. Okay, so not that way. Slither down the snake that way. Okay, so again, taking up about half the line, slither down the snake, slither down the snake. Off you go. Okay, Mr. Fenn, a couple more letters to go.
Okay.
First up, we're going to do the letter D. What do you reckon? Sky, grass, or soil?
Well, I would say this is grass and sky.
Absolutely. Okay, so when we do the letter C, it kind of we start it exactly the way we do C or A. Okay, you do that curl that way round, but then you go all the way up to the top of the sky, and then back down to the bottom of the grass again like that. Okay.
So that bubble bit is about halfway up the line. So that bubble bit is the same size as the S, same size as the E, same size as the O, same size as the A.
Absolutely. So if you watch what I do on a normal line, right up to the top, down to the bottom like that. Okay, so it's in line with the other letters, but it goes higher up. It goes to the top of the line. Okay. Just be careful though not to make the mistake of making that line go right up to the top of the next one. Okay, that's not right. Or doing this bit too big either. Okay, that's too big. It needs to be this size. Okay, so the first bit, like the letter C, takes up half the line, and you go all the way to the top and back down to the bottom again. Have a go at that one, please. Okay, 2 more letters to go, Mr. Fenn. Next up is the letter G. What kind of letter do you think G is?
G is, I think the circle bit is the grass.
Yep.
And then the tail bit comes down into the soil.
Absolutely. So again, just like letter D, we start it like the letter C. that we curl around that way like that, okay? But then we go up to the top of the grass and then all the way down into the soil and loop around like that, okay? So we say for this one, round the girl's face, down the hair, give it a curl, okay? Now on normal lines, if we're going into the soil, that doesn't mean you go all the way down to the bottom of the next line, okay? It means you go to about halfway, okay? So if we watch this, my best one, there we go, okay? So it goes under the line, but only about halfway, not all the way down to the bottom of the next one. So hit pause please and have a go at the letter G. Okay, Mrs. Fenn, our final letter is one that actually we don't perhaps write as often as the other ones, but that may mean we need more practice doing this one. So this letter is the letter Q. So letter Q, what do we think? Is it grass, sky or soil?
Okay, so it's the bubble bit is the grass,
Yep.
and then the tail bit goes into the soil.
Absolutely right. So again, that same motion we've been doing over and over again. We curl around this way in the grass up to the top and then all the way down to the soil and then you flick this way, okay? So the flicking is the other way to the way the G went, all right? So that same motion, like doing a letter C, right? You go round, up to the top of the grass, down to the soil and flick like that, okay? So if I do this on a normal line, remember this first bit of it, same size as the other letters, the grass letters, but then we go down to the soil and flick like that, okay? So if you have a go at practicing Q, that's your final letter. So make it a really good Q or a good line of Qs. Okay, and that brings us to the end of today's handwriting. Hopefully you've seen today that all these letters we picked deliberately because they all kind of go that way round, okay? And the thing about this is that it's so important that we get our letter formation right, that we start letters in the correct place and finish them in the correct place. Because even though you can get away with doing some letters from the wrong place, like the letter E, for example, we talked about, you can start it from the bottom and go around like that, and that kind of looks like an E, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the problem is when we then go on to joining the letters, you just can't do it unless you're starting and finishing in the right place, okay? So
Can I show one more?
Yep, go for
I
it.
get a lot of something like that for a D. If this is you, this you just look. So I think sometimes I sort of see that, which kind of looks like a D. I can read that as a D, but if you're trying to write the word dog, if you're sort of going, I mean, when you're joined, I mean, what you'd have to sort of go.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna work for joined up handwriting.
Absolutely,
so.
Yeah, so it's really important to get those letters right. And when you're secure on them, we can then do the joined up handwriting. So feel free to go back and practice any more of these. But well done for getting through the first handwriting home learning lesson.